Ian knew hatred could have a sound. In his case, it was Joss's laughter echoing across the open office, sharp, confident, and maddeningly charming. Every Monday, Joss found some new way to get under his skin. A sarcastic comment here, a smug grin there. It had started the day Ian transferred to the firm, one of the youngest creative leads in the company's history. Joss had been there for years, a senior designer whose talent was matched only by his ego. They were oil and water, fire and frost. And yet, every time Ian told himself he despised Joss, his pulse told a different story. The first clash came on a Tuesday morning meeting. "Your design feels safe," Joss said, flipping through Ian's pitch deck with a smirk. "Like it's scared to be interesting." Ian's jaw tightened. "Safe sells. Clients pay for structure, not chaos. Structure's a polite word for boring." A few people stifled laughs. Ian's face heated, but he forced a grin. "And chaos is a polite word for sloppy." Their boss cleared his throat before things could escalate, but the tension in the room crackled like static. When the meeting ended, Ian grabbed his tablet and brushed past Joss, their shoulders colliding harder than necessary. "Watch it," Ian snapped. "Or what?" Joss murmured, low enough that only Ian could hear. "You'll make another safe design." The words burned through Ian's restraint, but he said nothing. He wouldn't give Joss the satisfaction. Fate, as usual, had a cruel sense of humor. 2 days later, their boss called them both in. "Ian, Joss, congratulations. You're leading the Martin and Hayes campaign together." Ian blinked. "Together?" Joss leaned back, smug as ever. "Sounds fun. It's our biggest client this quarter." Their boss continued. "I expect chemistry, collaboration, and no bloodshed, please." Outside the office, Ian turned on Joss. "You planned this, didn't you?" "Oh, absolutely," Joss said dryly. "I begged the universe to trap myself in a room with you for 3 months. Then we agree, we stay professional." "Professional?" Joss raised a brow. "That's rich coming from someone who glares like I stole his favorite coffee mug." Ian folded his arms. "Just do your job." "Gladly," Joss said, brushing past him, close enough that Ian caught a faint hint of cedar and bergamot. It infuriated him how good that smelled. 2 weeks in, the studio became a battlefield. Arguments about font choices turned into debates about philosophy. Sketches crumpled, tempers flared. And yet, beneath it all, there was an electric current neither could name. One night, they were the only two left in the office. Rain lashed the windows, the city glowing faintly below. Joss leaned over the drafting table, sleeves rolled up, eyes lit with focus. Ian hated that he noticed the veins on his forearms. "Don't just stand there," Joss muttered. "You said you wanted this campaign to feel alive. Show me." Ian stepped closer, irritation masking the quickening in his chest. "It needs cohesion. Energy with control. Then show me what that looks like." Joss said softer this time. Ian reached over, fingers brushing Joss's as he adjusted a mock-up. The contact jolted them both. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Joss's gaze flicked up. "You're shaking." "I'm not," Ian whispered. He was. They stood close enough to feel each other's breath. The rain filled the silence, heavy and rhythmic. Then Ian pulled away. "I'm going home." "Running away?" Joss asked, voice low, unreadable. "From you, definitely." But his voice wavered, and Joss noticed. The following week, everything changed. Joss didn't show up on Monday or Tuesday. On Wednesday, Ian found him in the stairwell, sitting alone with his sketchbook open but untouched. "You okay?" Ian asked carefully. "Family stuff," Joss replied. "Nothing major." Ian hesitated. The usual snark was gone, replaced by a quiet weight. "You don't have to talk about it." "Good," Joss said, but his tone wasn't cruel, it was tired. He rubbed his temples. "You ever get tired of pretending you've got everything figured out?" Ian laughed softly. "All the time." Their eyes met, not with sparks this time, but understanding. For the first time, Ian saw Joss not as the arrogant designer, but as a person, lonely, guarded, human. "Want coffee?" Ian offered. Joss looked at him like he'd offered gold. "Yeah," he said quietly, "thanks." That night they worked together again, not fighting, just creating. When Ian laughed at something Joss said, it didn't feel like surrender. It felt like relief. 2 months later, The campaign was nearly finished. The presentation loomed, and tension mixed with pride in the air. They stayed late again, polishing the final details. Joss paced, "What if it's not good enough?" Ian frowned, "You doubting yourself. Maybe you've rubbed off on me," Joss muttered. Ian chuckled, "You're brilliant, Joss, you know that." The compliment hung there, startling them both. Joss looked up slowly. "Say that again." "I said—" Ian began, but Joss stepped closer. "No one's ever said that to me without expecting something back." Joss said quietly, "You actually mean it, don't you?" Ian swallowed, "Yeah, I do." The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was charged. Joss's eyes searched his, full of unspoken things. For once, Ian didn't look away. "I used to hate you," Joss murmured. "You still do," Ian whispered, half smiling. Joss shook his head. "No, I think I just didn't know what to do with the way you make me feel." The words hit Ian like thunder. And before he could stop himself, he stepped forward. Their lips didn't meet, but they hovered close enough for the air between them to tremble. Then Joss exhaled shakily, "We should finish the slides." Ian nodded, throat tight, "Yeah." Neither worked much after that. The big day arrived. Their campaign dazzled the clients, bold, vibrant, unified. The same could be said for them. They moved in sync, finishing each other's thoughts. When it ended, the room erupted in applause. Ian turned to Joss, heart pounding, "We did it." Joss grinned, "Guess we make a good team after all." "Guess so." But before Ian could say more, their boss pulled him aside, offering congratulations and champagne. When Ian looked back, Joss was gone. He found him outside on the balcony, staring at the skyline. "Running away again," Ian teased gently. Joss's smile was faint, just needed air. After a victory like that, Ian stepped beside him. "You're allowed to celebrate." Joss's voice softened. "You really don't hate me anymore, do you?" Ian shook his head. "I don't think I ever did." Joss turned to him, really turned, and something in his expression cracked open. "Then why do you think I hated you?" Ian's voice caught, "Because you acted like you did." Joss exhaled, the city lights flickering across his face. "I was jealous," he admitted. "You came in confident, talented. Everything I pretended to be. And every time I tried to push you away, I just ended up wanting you closer." Ian's pulse thundered in his ears, then stopped pushing. The words hung there, a challenge, a plea. Joss didn't move for a long time. Then slowly, he reached out and brushed his fingers against Ian's hand. It was small, tentative, but it broke something open. They didn't kiss that night. They talked about dreams, fears, family, life before the firm, about the masks they both wore, Joss with his arrogance, Ian with his perfectionism. The more they spoke, the more the hatred dissolved into something raw and fragile. By the time the city went quiet, they were sitting shoulder to shoulder, silence settling around them like an old friend. Joss whispered, "You ever wonder how things might have been if we hadn't started off hating each other?" Ian smiled faintly, "Then maybe we wouldn't have ended up here." After that night, everything changed. They still argued, that would never stop, but the tension carried a different kind of fire. Teasing became flirtation, glances lingered, their hands brushed too long during brainstorms. One afternoon, Joss dropped by Ian's desk, coffee break. Ian glanced up, "You're actually inviting me this time." Joss grinned, trying to make peace. "Peace sounds boring," Ian teased. "Maybe just a truce." Joss's eyes darkened slightly. "Fine, a truce." Their fingers touched as Ian took the cup. Electricity hummed between them again, familiar now but no less dangerous. It couldn't stay easy forever. A few weeks later, a rival firm undercut their project, and the fallout hit hard. Tension ran high. Tempers flared in a late-night argument. All their progress unraveled. "You think you're always right," Ian shouted. "You can't stand it when someone challenges you." "Oh, that's rich," Joss shot back. "You're the one who acts like perfection is a personality. Maybe I just care about not screwing up. Maybe you care too much about what everyone thinks." The words strung because they were true. Ian turned away, breathing hard. "This was a mistake." Joss's voice cracked, "Don't say that." But Ian was already walking out, past the lobby, into the rain, away from the one person who had started to matter too much. 3 days passed, no messages. No glances across the office. Ian buried himself in work, but everything felt hollow. On the fourth night, he found himself standing outside Joss's apartment. Drenched and shivering, he didn't even remember driving there. When Joss opened the door, surprise flickered across his face, quickly replaced by worry. "Ian, what are you?" "I can't do this," Ian said. "Pretend like it didn't mean anything." Joss stepped closer, eyes soft. "I was scared," he admitted, "of how much I wanted you, of what that meant." Ian laughed weakly. "Join the club." For a moment neither spoke, then Joss reached out, hesitant, and wiped a drop of rain from Ian's cheek. "You came all this way," he whispered. "Why?" Ian met his gaze. "Because I finally know why I hated you so much." "Why?" "Because I didn't," Ian said. "I just didn't know how to love you yet." Joss froze, and then slowly, his walls crumbled. He stepped forward, cupped Ian's face, and kissed him. It wasn't cinematic or perfect, just real. Fierce and trembling, and full of everything they hadn't said. They didn't fix everything overnight. Love didn't erase their differences. It only made them matter less. They still fought sometimes, still challenged each other. But now it was different, grounded in respect, warmth, and something that felt terrifyingly permanent. At work, people noticed the change. Fewer arguments, more laughter. More late nights where ideas flowed like music. One afternoon, their boss joked, "Whatever's happening between you two, keep it up. The clients love it." Ian just smiled. Joss winked. Neither said a word. Months later, Ian woke in Joss's apartment, sunlight spilling across the sheets. Joss was asleep beside him, hair messy, expression soft in a way Ian had never seen back in their days of rivalry. Ian traced a finger along his jaw, whispering, "Why did you hate me so much?" Joss stirred, half awake, smiling. "I didn't," he murmured. "I just didn't know it was love." Ian kissed his forehead. "Guess we figured it out." "Guess we did." They lay there, wrapped in quiet warmth, two people who'd once sworn they'd never stand each other, now unable to imagine the world apart. A year later, their work made headlines. Not just because of the creativity, but because of the partnership that powered it. When asked about their secret to success, Joss smiled and said, "Conflict. A lot of it, but the right kind." Ian laughed. "He means love disguised as stubbornness." The crowd laughed, but they both knew the truth. Hatred had only been the spark. Love was the flame that lasted. That night, after the award ceremony, they walked hand in hand through the quiet city streets. The same rain that once divided them now fell softly, washing away everything that had come before. Joss whispered, "So what's next for us?" Ian smiled, "Whatever comes together." Joss squeezed his hand. "Sounds dangerously safe." Ian chuckled, "And maybe a little chaotic." "Perfect combination," Joss said, and kissed him under the rain. The end.